Hello everyone and welcome back to Saga 2, Dungeon of Nasty. You know, I was really going to try to keep all of this nasty dungeon stuff to one video, but I can see now that 2 is definitely more than justified. That might have been a little naive of me. Anyway, we now have room to open this chest and get this Yoichi's bow. So I sold the things I knew I didn't want, so you can see I have a little bit more money than I had before, and I stored the rest in the warehouse, like I planned to do. While I was out, I bought a new Staff of Healing for Elodie and gave the old one to Father, but other than that, we're right where we left off. So I've seen the light of day, and yet here I am again, back in the nasty dungeon. I hope it was worth it. Ooh, and we get a Muramasa. Okay, so we saw this weapon when Ronin had it on Edo World, but I don't think that I ever got one myself. Anyway, this is probably the most powerful of the katana in the game. Actually, maybe not. Maybe it's not all that good, because it only deals damage equal to strength times 15, and that's the same damage that the Sunblade does. Though, judging by the description, this is a cursed katana that thirsts for human blood. I remember there was like a vampire sword or something in the original game. I don't think that that's what this is, though. I don't remember Ronin's sword having that effect. Maybe that is what that is? I don't think so, though. Anyway, let's carry on. Can I actually just back out from this room? I know if I go forward... Oh, awesome. Okay, I've been going all the way forward after getting chests and having to reset the whole thing, but it looks like you can just back out a room. Alright, and this should be the correct path here, because oh, maybe not, actually. Ooh, and we get a Defender here. Okay, Defender's not a very good weapon. We've had that before. Actually, let's go down the path that didn't have a chest, which is the second one. Guy right on my tail, come on. Okay, I made it. I survived. I always feel like enemies are going to catch up on me, but it seems that they can't actually move fast enough to do that, so if you take the right path, they'll never catch up to you. Anyway, that seems to be how it goes. And do we have a new floor here? No, we're still on basement floor 5. Ah, that wasn't the exit. Alright, well, I'll figure this out. Okay, so at the 4-pronged fork, you want to take the 3rd prong, it turns out. There was actually a treasure chest in that room, which made me think that that wouldn't be the right way to go, but that actually was, and the one without the treasure chest went back to the start. Interesting how that works. Okay, well, we have an energy point here, but since I've recently been to the outside world and rested at an actual inn, I don't need its services. Speaking of which, let's check in on our relic abilities. Okay, so I have 17 uses of stealth. I got here using significantly fewer than it took me the first time around, because I've just been getting into fights and running away from them a lot, and you do lose a little bit of money every time you run away from a fight, but really it's quite negligible compared to the amount of money I actually have at this point in the game, so running away is not actually a bad strategy to retain the uses of your relic abilities. Looks like we have several treasures on this floor. Fantastic. Or in this room, I should say. Let's see. Dodge this winged thing here. Oh, very nice. Flew right past me. And in this chest, we have... Almost got hit by that rhinoceros. Alright, we have... Ooh, a Guan Yu's armor. Okay, we got one of those in the final dungeon, and I'm not currently wearing it because, as far as I know, there's no benefit to wearing that instead of the dragon armor I've been using. Let's see. That way goes to the exit, it looks like, so I wanted to go down this way to get those remaining chests. A couple of them bunched together, maybe some more sources. I always like getting sources, because equipment will always eventually get outclassed. I know that's not really true at this stage in the game, but that's generally how it goes, whereas sources, those are forever. Once you use one of those, you get to enjoy its benefits for the entire remainder of the game. And I guess they sort of do get outclassed in that your character's stats eventually get maxed out, but whatever. We get an exosuit, a psycho gun, and a blood sword. Ah, there's the blood sword. Okay, I was just saying that the Muramasa's description made me think that maybe that was what the blood sword was, but no, the blood sword's a separate weapon entirely. And why did I go to Zenith? Okay, yeah, probably replacing the Sunblade with this. Special Blade, a sword whose blade heals the user while doing damage to the enemy. It deals damage equal to absorb times 6. That's a huge hit to Virtue's strength if he equips that. Like, it's obviously a really useful effect, but is it actually better than anything he has? Maybe better than the Yoichi's bow, but that increases his agility by a ton, doesn't it? Maybe better than the missiles at this point, actually. So because he now has 2 group targeting attacks, the Excalibur and the Yoichi's bow, the need for him to have an all-targeting attack is slightly diminished, but still, I do really like him having that. However, both the missiles and the blood sword have a neutral effect on his stats, which makes me think that I want either one or the other equipped to him and not both at the same time. For now, I'm going to stick to the missiles, but there's a good chance that in the future I will be switching it up and using the blood sword instead. because that does seem like something I want, but really Virtue's the character I least want that effect on. He's the one who least needs the healing, and yet he's the one best equipped to use swords, because neither Natsmer nor Zenith really have the strength stat to really capitalize on that weapon, and both of them have weapon specialties of their own that are not special blades. Though didn't Natsmer... So special blades is like fencing weapons, right? Isn't that the case? Because Natsmer was using like rapiers and stuff really early in the game, so she actually probably has some handling skill built up in that, so maybe Natsmer wants the blood sword, interestingly enough. I'm not actually sure though whether... You know, it might actually, if it's a special blade, and special blades are fencing blades, maybe it is an agility-based weapon. It's really impossible to tell, since the game lists its damage as absorb X rather than strength or agility. It's not as informative. What is going on with this floor? I want to go this way first, I think. I think I know what I'm doing here. I think this will take me over to where those chests are. This is a really interesting floor, I want to say, though. I like the layout of this place. It really makes you, like, look at the mini-map and figure out what's going on before you make a move. And I probably should have taken another look at the upper path, the upper room, to see which passage is connected over there. But for the time being, I see that this path over here is going to take me to the area where there are 2 gold chests, so let's go do that. Speaking of gold chests, I'm so grateful that there have not been any trapped chests, no monsters in a boxes. This has just been smooth sailing. Every chest has been like pure money. Everything has been absolutely wonderful inside these chests for me. And I did choose the right path to take first, because this one is just leading to a dead end with another box of money at the end. Yeah, so it's a shame that there are no excavate points here in the nasty dungeon, but that's a small price to pay for having no trapped chests. Oh, and this looks a little bit different, actually. I was not expecting to fight new enemies, but we are deep in the dungeon at this point, so I guess it's not too surprising. I fought enemies that looked like these Nagas before, but they were slightly different. I think it was a weaker version, so I think both the Nagas and the Chimeras are new. Though, I have fought Chimeras, actually. I fought one Chimera in the Guardian space as a mini-boss, so this is essentially 2 new enemies to me. We'll use the Mountain Storm with Zenith here. We'll put it on the Nagas. I'm probably scared of those Nagas. I know I have immunity to a lot of magic, but not as much as I did when I still had that Aegis shield. This is actually a good point to demonstrate those missiles that I knew I kept around for a reason. And let's roll. Starting things out as we usually do with an attack from Father. He has the highest agility, so he often goes first. Even faster than these enemies who are faster than me. Ooh, that's a lot of damage in a single hit. Maybe these Chimeras are not the enemy that I encountered in the Guardian space. Maybe that was a Manticore. You know, now that I think about it, I'm not sure whether that was a Manticore or a Chimera. It was one of those. Anyway, Zenith's down, and a flame attack that's only going to hit Virtue and Father, but it might deal a lot of damage. Oh, and Virtue's actually become immune to fire. Wonderful. Okay, so only hitting Father. Another flame, though, that's going to deal even more damage to Father, which is unfortunate since he's certainly my MVP. Fang attack on Natsmer there, not enough to take her out of the fight. And poison attack that Elodie is immune to. This one I'm also immune to. No thunder damage on Natsmer. Here are the missiles. Cavalry has arrived to deal some damage. And already taking out that group of Chimeras. And I'm going to pass things over here with the combo attack on Elodie's turn, which should wrap up the fight. With the gigantic Psycho Shock attack. And despite these fearsome enemies, I think Calliope might be the one happy with me this time around. Ooh, and a spirit increase for Elodie. Wonderful. Ooh, and a Staff of Sorcery. Cool. I'm not planning on using that, but I will sell it for the money. Okay, taking the other path now, which I imagine will take me both to the remaining chest and ultimately to the exit, since that previous branch we explored did not lead to the exit, just a dead end. Yeah, so this way is going to wrap around to where that chest is, because this is the inner path that we're on now. Very nice. Okay, so I wonder what we're going to find in here. We're getting pretty low on chests. I know of at least one thing that we're still missing. That's pretty exceptional. Alright, we get another cottage here, which is pretty nice. I could see myself using that before we get to the end of this dungeon here. I do have one with me still that I haven't used yet, along with a completely unused Cure Tome. I mentioned that I was bringing those things along for provisions, but I fortunately haven't needed them yet, since Father's healing has yet to run out, and since when I needed a cottage previously, I actually found one earlier in the dungeon. This dungeon's actually, as nasty as it is, it's very forgiving in that it gives you multiple cottages to help you along. Alright, here we are on the 8th basement floor. Is that right? Is that basement floor 8 of Nasty Dungeon? Because I thought there were only 8 floors, but it doesn't feel like we should be getting to the end already. Alright, well, let's use the stealth and wrap around this corner here since I see 2 groups of enemies and I would rather not get in a fight with either of them. I generally have not been using stealth to avoid just a single enemy, but when I see a couple of them bunched together, it seems like a good opportunity to use it since it's a lot harder to avoid 2 enemies than it is 1. Ooh, we have a flare tome here, which is the most powerful of the tomes. But as I've not been using all that many tomes in this game, probably just going to end up being something that sits around in the warehouse. As sad as that is, I do find it hard to part with some of these really powerful items, because even if it doesn't fit into my actual strategy, it seems like something worth holding on to for some impossible future. Alright, and here we have a glass sword. However, inventory was full? My inventory is already full, are you kidding me? I guess we did get a lot of things already. Oh, and I never mentioned that we got this wave cannon, the ultimate weapon of the gods. It has the power to turn everything back to dust. So we previously saw that nuclear weapon, which was something that only had a single use. Here we have a wave cannon with only 3 uses. A little bit less dramatic, but still something that's very powerful. What am I going to ditch here? I've got to delete one of these items to pick up something new. Probably this defender is the first thing to go. See a defender, and I'll get rid of the Muramasa next to it too, since I know that that's also an unexceptional weapon at this stage in the game. Alright, and here we have a glass sword, so let's take a look at that in our inventory now that we've got it. And this is, here we go, another weapon with just a single use. When the blade of this sword is broken, an incredible power is released, and as you can see, this deals a fixed damage of 1024, which is a power of 2 if I'm not mistaken. Alright, now that we've got that glass sword, let's work our way to the exit of this floor. It seemed like a good idea to get in at least one fight before I moved along, since I haven't seen the enemies on this floor yet. We've encountered fire flowers in the past in the final dungeon, but I think these are my first 4 6-toads and my first Raidens. Ooh, robots like these have caused problems for me in the past. I'm actually surprised that these aren't G6s, since we saw those G6s, I would think that maybe those would be the ones we encounter. So maybe these are like a stage below or a stage above the G6. Either way, I'm pretty scared of them. But I have a Psycho Blast here from Elodie, Mountain Storm here from Zenith, let's use the Leopard 2 with Natsmer, and the Missiles with Virtue, and Vulcan Gun with Father, and I'm targeting most of my attacks on those Raidens, try to take those giant robots out as quickly as possible. Though I am a little bit worried about these 4 6-toads, I don't really know what those have in store for me. Poison Fog not effective against anyone except Father. I probably could have given Father that dragon armor I had, but come to think of it, I think he had a battle exosuit equipped, which would probably make it impossible for me to give him any sort of body armor. Let's see, just some pretty minor attacks from these fire flowers. I'm immune to sleep. And we have an electroshock, which I'm perfectly fine with them doing. Having my character's agility reduced sucks, but it's much better than having them killed, which I imagine that these Raidens are pretty capable of doing. Like I said, enemies like these tend to have pretty powerful attacks, but they're all content to just electroshock. Interesting. Okay, well, hopefully they won't survive to do anything other than that, and sure enough, they go down with a shot from the tank. So I never get to find out what sort of weapons those robots had equipped, but I think I'm okay with that. Fire Flowers and Frogs still standing, but I think the Psycho Blast should be able to wrap things up here, as it often does. No! One enemy of each group still standing. Alright, so I'll switch to the Break Glare from Elodie, and everyone else just, let's target our attacks on that Fire Flower and try to finish things up as quickly as we can here. Should not take long. Both of these enemies probably in like the double digits of HP for surviving that Psycho Blast. And Mountain Storm finishes things off. Everyone survived, interestingly enough. That increased Elodie's defense from all the time she was using the shield. Like, even though I don't have the Aegis shield anymore, its power definitely rubbed off on Elodie the whole time she was using it, because she's been surviving a lot more than she used to. Hey, the Raiden's doing something different. Oh, but it's a Rocket Punch. I actually have seen them do the Rocket Punch before, I think. I just forgot about it. Anyway, I'm in another encounter here, pretty much exactly like the last one, but the numbers are changed. There are more Raidens in this one. But if all they're going to do is 0 damage rocket punches and electroshocks, I'm really disappointed by those golden robots. I've really come to expect a lot more from my mech foes, but they're really letting me down this time. Thermoblast here, taking out the Toad. Still a couple of Fire Flowers left here, which Elodie should be able to finish off on her turn with this Psycho Blast. And there it goes. What a wonderful animation that is. And for winning that battle, we get just a meat. I was really hoping to get some stat increases out of that one since there were so many enemies. That's okay, I did get a beam rifle. Alright, I'm happy to see that. That beam rifle, man. Is that the second beam rifle I've gotten since I was in the Nasty Dungeon? If so, I might actually be able to get away with selling one of those. But that is definitely a good gun to have around. Ooh, I see the end in sight. I see an exclamation point over on the right side. And that's probably the exit. And it looks like we have 2 chests left, the first of which contains a nuclear weapon, however inventory was full. Yeah, I was saying that there was one more thing I remembered being in this dungeon, and that's the nuclear weapon. I knew that there's one in Final Dungeon, and there's one here, and those are the only 2 you get the whole game, because each one can only be used once. I wonder if the existence of 2 of them is like an allusion to the 2 of them that were used in World War II. Let's see, what should I drop here? Did I have an elixir? I thought I got an elixir. I guess that was on my last trip, because that would definitely be something I would drop if I still had one. Alright, I'm gonna use a cottage. I don't really need it. I don't think I'm going to need the help to get through the rest of this floor, but we need to get rid of something, so I'll get rid of one of the cottages. Certainly at this point, I'm not going to be exiting the dungeon and tracing my footsteps back to here. That would just be completely ridiculous at this point, as deep as we are in this dungeon. It's been really fun, though. I really enjoyed the interpretation of this dungeon in this game. It was really long, but every floor kind of felt different. Like the Lost Woods floor was really cool. The one with all of the vertical bridges was really cool. So they managed to make things interesting. And here we go. In the final chest, we get the Gungnir. You may remember this weapon from our battle with Odin, where he used it to absolutely startling effect against my characters. Now we get it for our very own. I don't know how it ended up here. I guess he dropped it from Valhalla Palace and it fell all the way down here to Nasty Dungeon. What am I doing here? What am I going to get rid of in order to get this Gungnir? It's really such a shame having to get rid of something. Maybe something my characters have would be a better choice. Actually, here we go. We have this Leopard 2 with 7 uses. I'm going to get rid of that since I recently got a better Leopard 2. I'll, for the time being, swap that out with the beam rifle. Where did the beam rifle go? Saw it a second ago. There we go. Switch Natsmer's beam rifle in. And then we will get rid of that tank to pick up this Gungnir here. Where'd it go? Leopard 2. I'm so bad at this menu. Okay, there it is. Drop that in the trash. Pick up the lance. And maybe that's something that we'll give to Virtue. Let's see. We got the Gungnir. Yes, yes. All of these great weapons, the Excalibur and the Gungnir, all going to Virtue. It's kind of a shame that there's not like a legendary taijutsu technique. I definitely feel that Zenith feels a little bit left out here in the end game. There we go, the Gungnir. Odin's magical spear can obliterate an area with a single swing. Deals damage equal to strength times 15, but against a group, so definitely an upgrade to the Sunblade here, and it even has 30 uses, though it's about to be 15 once we equip it to Virtue. And he's probably going to be holding on to that thing for the remainder of the game, definitely a powerful one. Okay, and now, with that, we come to the end of Nasty Dungeon. Just got to make it past a few more enemies. You know, just for fun, let's get in a fight against some of them up ahead, because there are probably still some enemies here down in the basement 8th floor that I haven't encountered yet. So before we go to the exit, let's get in one more fight and see what I can find. Let's attack this lizard here. Hopefully not just the same group we've encountered the past 2 times, but it is. So, see you afterwards. And that's all. I did underestimate the Raidens a little bit. They pulled out lightsabers and laser guns there at the end, able to take out Elodie and Zenith, but I still prevailed, and got 6,000 Kira for my troubles. So with that, Nasty Dungeon comes to a close. Let's see what's happening here at the exit. Hey, it's the fairy that we met at the very start of Nasty Dungeon. Yeah, it was nasty. She told us so. Yeah, so she asks you if the dungeon was indeed nasty there, and if you tell her that it wasn't, if you disagree with her, she gets mad and sends you back to the 5th floor. She's gonna let us in through a secret. If I leave through here, there's a guy dressed in all black nearby. If you talk with him, he'll tell you about a fantastic place. Wait, what? I think this is new. I think in the original game that leaving from here just brought you back to the entrance, but it seems that something new is added here. Okay, so I'm definitely going to heal myself just in case things go sour and I get into a confrontation with this guy in black. But yeah, let's proceed and see what this is all about. Let's see, where is this guy? Oh, it's just this guy, the guy all in black. It's the devil guy. Okay, we've met him before. Tell us about this special place. I think I know what this is, actually. Yeah, I've conquered the dungeon. Test whether my strength is genuine or not. Maybe not right now. So, my understanding is that in addition to the Arena of the Dead, in which this character lets you refight bosses you fought previously, I think there's some like post-game thing where you get to fight more powerful versions of earlier bosses in the game, like the new gods. And so I guess that's what this is about. You unlock that capability by completing the Nasty Dungeon, but that's not something I'm going to be doing right now. I think the next thing on my agenda is to go forward with the plot of the game. So yeah, sorry I wasn't able to detain this diversion to just a single episode. I couldn't contain it in just one episode. Had to be 2 videos. But from here on out, it's nothing but the good stuff. We're fighting Apollo next time, taking him to task. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you then.